The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 6th day of October, 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House and Lenders. I'm Jamal Hartman. He's Roger Denbrook, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Raj, Weezy, how is the weather down there this Friday night?
Yeah, it's a little wet. It's a little windy.
Yeah.
This storm is acting up. Like it's going to be a direct hit. It is literally hitting us head on.
But it's like, is it like a Category 1 hurricane, or is it just a storm?
It's just a storm. It's like the wind speed is like right under a Category 1. So
Okay.
we may get like Category 1 gusts at some point.
Is it like a winter storm kind of?
Yeah.
No. Well, those things are still bad. Don't take it for granted.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, audience, let us know. Are you all good? Are you all safe and dry? Mark Arthur Steve Phillips actually says, good morning, TDH family. It is a rainy, wet Friday morning. Stay dry and have a wonderful day. Marcia Robin Patrice Shaw says, stay dry and safe. So, I mean, folks, well, fellas, mostly fellas, ask your wife, can you get in the car today so you don't have to ride the bike? You know how it goes in some households, you know. See if you but well, Raj, a lot's happened, man. A lot's happened. But I want to touch on something before we get into today's show. I just saw this morning a video going around from the president, CEO, whatever of Belco's parent company, Wayne Keynes, and I just honestly, man, and this is no disrespect, this is not personal, but I just feel he is so disingenuous. In this video, and I don't know if you've seen it, audience, he says that it's not a 48 increase on your Balco bill. And I always say on this show, you know, people are not as no, people are smarter today than they were yesterday and the day before. The language that you used 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you can't use anymore. So it's all good, Mr. Keynes, saying that it's not a 48% increase on someone's bill. But then you had the entire opportunity to tell them what the increase actually is, and you didn't.
Okay.
You failed at that. And to me, it's every time, you know, someone said, whenever they heard David Brett and Wayne Keynes speak, you don't believe anything that comes out of their mouths. One of the reasons is because the way they talk to people, the way they address people. I'm not a politician, so I don't care if you could how I talk. I'm not interested in your vote. I'm really not. I'm serious. And I'm not Donald Trump, where I'm going to want your vote later on in life. So you all could take that how you want. But these are people who need your votes so that they can get paid, right? I think they fail at PR. I think that it is a PR mess. But that video, if you've seen it, folks, I think is everything that Wayne Keynes and David Brett, maybe the PLP don't get, which is why I explained to people last night, the OBA will likely win the seat last night. And the PLP had hope. And I broke it down to quite a few people. I said, the late Walton Brown won his seat, which was a PLP stronghold, by 6 votes, if I'm not mistaken. Between 6 and 12 votes in 2012. Against Andrew Simons. In 2017, the OBA thought, oh, we closed that. It was the one in Dockyard, Michael Scott. They thought they had a chance. And what people fail to realize is you have to consider what happened between that election and this election. Ben Smith literally won by the same 73% that the OBA UBP usually wins by in that area. You thought that you were gaining ground in 2020. We have to understand what factors into those results. So all that to say, Cairns, that ain't it, bro. People don't care. Like, my old boss Glenn Blake used to always say you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't think they get it. Like the smooth preaching church talk vibe, people don't care for it. They just don't. And so if you're not here to be real, say, well, if it's not $20, you have to tell people what it is. You're here to talking about you're trying to kill speculation. You've done nothing to do that. All you did was say it's not this. And tell them what it is. That whole video was diatribe, trying to win people over in a way that people would have tried that 25 years ago. Anyway, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today, as we discuss the most effective ways to protest in Bermuda. It'll be a good one. The daily plays are things you should know. Raj, I don't know, man. I didn't even know the answer. Well, then again, you're 10,000 times smarter than me, so you may get it. But I wouldn't have known anything near this answer. So, yeah, it's a you, Taylor, and Maya question.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I
think you might have to knock me down. I mean, you think of me very highly, and I really appreciate it. But I think you may just need to manage your expectations a little bit. Just when it comes to trivia, I'm not a trivia person. I'm not.
Okay. Big brain's not a trivia person. Okay.
Like I'm not.
Well, I can't play with Maya anymore because she shucks the answer out before I get the damn question. But anyway, that's why she's not playing. Don't forget to subscribe to our website, thedailyhour.com, and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, here we go, folks. It's time for the question. Raj?
Sorry.
It's supposed to be a protest today. It's supposed to be a protest. But I want to correct something because, we have this platform. And there was a message going around yesterday that Denton Williams is the head of the RA, and he was previously at Belco. As much as I want to support many of these causes, right, because I understand them and relate to them, I have a Belco deal in my name as well. What I can get down with is uninformed or misrepresentation of the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Williams has not been at the regulatory authority since last year. And I think it's unfair to be sending around things like that. And if you know it's wrong, then you send another message. Like I say things that sometimes are off beat. And if someone tells me, I will come back on this show and say, you know what? Spoke out of turn. That's actually not true. I think we have got to stop forwarding notices or WhatsApps with inaccurate information. You don't know how someone's going to react to Mr. Williams, thinking that he's the head of the RA. He's not. The new chief executive of the RA is Mr. Carmichael. So please, folks, stop doing that kind of stuff because it weakens the cause when you don't have facts. One thing I learned from Bermudians Against the Draft, it was fact upon fact upon fact. We had a written Bible of everything. So let's just be a bit more careful in how we approach these, various forms of protest. Now, that brings us to the question this morning. Was Maya trying to give us a message? But there's supposed to be a protest this morning. Obviously, the weather's bad, so it doesn't look like it's happening. But, Raj, I think it's time for a conversation. What's the best way to protest? And I think this question is valid because when we were fighting to end conscription, people would always say, oh, I support the cause, but I don't like the way you're going on about it. Colin Kaepernick most criticized athlete in our era, obviously not sports history because of Muhammad Ali, but Colin Kaepernick. Black people at first when he started doing, oh, I don't support the way he's going on about it. I remember watching TV1 News with that news show Roland Martin was hosting and saying, well, the U.S. anthem is a beautiful song. They all changed tune, right? And again, I'm not knocking them for that because my mind can be changed. I changed my mind a lot. It happens. But there's always those who have never fought for anything in their life who have the most to say about how we're going on about a protest or how we should protest. What they call them, the armchair critics?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Now, I'm not saying they may not have valid points. But Dr. King said, you know, if you're not willing to die for the cause, what are you really fighting for? I know that may sound extreme, but when it came to me fighting conscription, you bet your boots, it was jail, it was death. Like, that's how much I believed in the cause. And I'm not saying that everyone has to think like that. I was talking to some people, liberal folks, that were all over voting Hillary Clinton over Trump, and I was questioning them. And they said to me, I said, but how deep are you? Like, how much do you believe it? Like, you have children. But, oh, I'm not going to prison, though. I'm not. And that's why you guys, the cause never comes to fruition, because they know that you'll only fight so far. So again, of the morning, what's the best way to protest in Bermuda to achieve the desired results?
You have said so much in the last 12 minutes. Where to even start? You know, this whole thing about having your facts straight. I know, I've been making certain noise about the primary school aspect of education reform. And one of the biggest things that I learned very, very quickly was that you have to have your facts straight. If you don't have your facts straight, that's immediately going to undermine anything that you're doing. And I know in Bermuda, one thing that frustrates me about my people is that we enjoy drama. We enjoy being inflammatory, right? So we'll get a forward, not check the veracity of it, not check anything, and just send it around and to just stoke a situation. And I really think you made an excellent point. We have to shift our mindset on, are we just trying to be inflammatory or are we trying to achieve something, right? And then also, people, you have to have that stick-to-itiveness, right? You have to stick to the wicket. You have to be results-driven. If you're really serious about achieving your issue, it can't be reactionary. It can't be, I'm frustrated and make noise, and then you go away. It's like, no, this is a legitimate issue that's impacting us, and it needs to be addressed. And if you are serious about it, you got to stay committed to it. And, at the beginning, you were making that point about how certain people choose to engage with the public with this very smooth, showy thing, right? And I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said, you're not trying to get anybody's vote. That's the issue. I think at the end of the day, politics here has devolved, not evolved, right? It's devolved into this performative, egotistical, shallow, condescending, manipulative thing, right? I'll say this categorically. It's not leadership.
No,
it's not leadership. It's politics. And something I have said, and I'll say it here, and I've said it to a ton of people, the premier is excellent at playing politics. He is excellent at it. But being authentic and allowing his authenticity to define him and his interactions with people, I'm just speaking as a member of the electorate, just saying, boom, that doesn't seem like his strong suit. And something that makes me nervous about those kinds of people is, can you actually be authentic? Are you actually always on this political smooth guy? Because it's manipulative. That's all it is, right? Is that your modus operandi? And if it is, that's a serious issue, because you're guided by self-interest. It's not about leading to improve conditions and improve people, it's leading to satisfy yourself, right? So within all of this mess, and one thing, if I feel like what's happened in Bermuda is that we've become extremely disconnected from our power. We have a rich history of resistance in this country that extends all the way back to the 17th century, right? I think you had 3 or 4 slave uprisings in the 17th century. You had 2 more in the 18th century, one of which lasted 10 years. Those are the poison plots, and the ancestor Sally Bassett was not the only one. About 20 years after that, we had a revolution that was going to predated the Haitian Revolution. So the plan was for all of the enslaved, when the signal went off, to rise up in the middle of the night and kill every white man and child in this country. Somebody overheard, a guy named John Vickers, he overheard it. And that's how it was. The uprising was undermined. But imagine if that had happened, right? After a really cool example of resistance, cup match. The first emancipation celebration happened that year, right after emancipation, right? For 111 years, Black Bermudians just didn't go to work on Emancipation Day, and it was illegal. For 111 years, we said, we're going to go celebrate emancipation. Then you had, obviously, the unrest in the 50s, the theater boycott, the Belco riots, the youth riots, obviously Larry Tackland and Buck Burroughs. And then...
Belco riots?
Pardon?
You said the Belco riots?
Yep, Belco riots. And then the 81 general strike. We didn't play. We did not play Iran. But somewhere along the way, and I think with this illusion of progress, we got a Black government in 1996. Here we are in 2023. What does it really mean to have a Black government? I really think we need to sit down and ask ourselves that question.
Well, Raj, I think November 9th, I think, or 10th, whatever it was, 1998, I think there were certain segments of Black people that thought that Bermuda had arrived. When now Dame Jennifer Smith led the PLP to victory, people thought that it was our time to shine. But you mentioned progress, not it not being progress. And what went wrong? I think the answer in that is Black people have been made to feel guilty for protesting against Black people. Think about it. You protest against the PLP, you're almost a sellout, or they start using excuses. What happened to sticking together? They use that kind of language. No, it may have worked 15 years ago, but it's not going to work today. Somebody mentioned to me the other day, problem with protest is the groups you have now, and this is said with all respect to Misha Fubler, but you can't be part of Social Justice Bermuda and the PLP. You can't. You cannot. When it came to Bermudians Against the Draft, I couldn't rock with the PLP like I was, because that's the government. It's like that march to nowhere, I call it, after George Floyd through Hamilton. How the hell you have PLP MPs and ministers down there speaking like, hold on, you're the government. We're marching against you. We're marching so that you can put legislation and policies in place to protect and advance us. I think part of the problem where we've got lost is Black people didn't know how to protest or fight against Black people. The only thing I believe David Byrd or Wayne Keynes have in common with the average Bermudian is probably their complexion. The aims are different. The goals are different. One thing that really got me is, everybody, when they kind of make it Black people in Bermuda, They have a story. I'm from back of town. I'm from this place. I didn't have this and that. Man, what you doing today that's benefiting people?
And Jamel, that's something I think about a lot. And I think that's at the center, at the ethos of the illusion of progress, right? Because you have reached a certain point, then apparently everything's fixed and everything's great. But people need to think proportions. What proportion of us have been able to reach that zenith, so to speak, of success in this? Because I don't think it's success. But if you're not going back and taking your expertise back and trying to lift the tide for all of us with your success, I think that that's a missing link. And again, I'm always talking about how things were like pre-colonial, cultures, right? And indigenous cultures. It was a collective, it was an inherently collective mindset. There was no such thing as I'm successful if that person over there is suffering. That's not success. Right? There's this guy, I can't remember, there's this story that goes around all the time talking about Ubuntu, right? And this sociologist went to Africa, can't remember which country, and he did this experiment where he put a bowl of fruit on one side of a field and he put a bunch of kids on the other side of the field. And he said, okay, whoever gets to that bowl of fruit first, you can have that bowl of fruit. None of the kids moved. They all looked at each other and they were talking. He didn't understand them. And then they all started walking together to the bowl of fruit. And then he asked them, why did you do that? This is like, that fruit is for all of us. Like we can't, if only one of us gets the fruit, that's not how it works, right? And I think in terms of Black excellence, and I have such an issue with this idea of Black excellence. I think it's just Black elitism, right?
Absolutely, it is.
Thank you very much. I do not into that word.
We got to continue to bring Maya in for our news break. But this is going to hurt a lot of feelings right now. This is going to hurt a lot of feelings. But the Black church, Greek organizations, and politics have a stranglehold on our progress. That's the sad reality.
It is.
And if you are offended by that, go deeper. But I'm going to repeat. The church, the Greek organizations, Dejan says keep going, go deeper.
But Dejan actually makes, he makes this.
Go ahead, Raj. Yes.
No, he makes the point. Like, as a people, we're not reflective, right? We don't go deep. We don't go into those to uproot those things inside of ourselves, right? We are caught up in coping mechanisms. We live very expedient, very superficial, very surface level awareness in Bermuda. And then when things pop off, we all go, oh, what's going on? Look in the mirror.
Yeah. And again, folks, what we're discussing is not to offend anyone. It's just to really make you think. Because most of our behaviors, most of the things we express today, we do them simply because they were passed on for generations. We do them because they were normalized in our society. I'll repeat my entire sentence, Ms. Emily Gill Dill, Senator Emily Gill Dill. The problem with Black progress is the Black church, Greek organizations, and politicians and politics and political parties. Let's use the Democratic Party. Black people give them the vote for nothing, for free. Some Black people don't even realize it wasn't until Lyndon B and JFK, Black people didn't even vote Democrat. You have Black people who are so religious voting Democrat against their own interests. Don't get me started on the Greek organizations. Raj mentioned Black excellence and elitism. Even, I'm going to say it, this may offend people, Black girl magic. Yeah, let's have these convos.
It's time for these conversations.
I tell you, challenge it. Challenge it. Challenge it. Challenge it.
And again, that's the illusion of the social experience, right? Like things that you think are absolute and tight, they're not, they're fluid.
Mm-hmm.
These are just socialized things that have occurred over time that you can easily get out of with a little bit of critical thought and a little bit of reflection. But Teray, who very rightfully put me in my place, thank you, Teray. We've only recently had to protest against Black people, though, Jamel, she said. Oh, wait, that was not the point. That's an excellent point, Teray. Sorry, but this is what I was talking about. She said, when I was talking about how we've lost this capacity for resistance, collective resistance, right? I very flippantly said somewhere along the way, and Teray very rightfully called me out, said it wasn't random, especially random. Black power efforts were continuously stomped and washed education system. Now, I'll speak to the education bit.
We got a good news break. Hold that. I want
you to Maya. I'm sorry.
Let's come back to that. Let's bring Maya in for Daily Hour News Break, and we'll get back to that. Folks, do not go anywhere. A lot to discuss, and we will carry this conversation on. Stick with us.
Maya, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Maya.
Good morning, everyone. How you guys doing?
Good.
Very, very low, Maya. I can't hear you.
Okay. Give me a second. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. So good morning. How you guys this morning?
I'm wonderful. How about you?
Pretty well. A little tired from being up for the by-election, but wow.
Sounds like a good night was had then.
It was an interesting night. I don't think it was anything that really shocked the community, though. Like by-elections, I mean, they don't do too much. The only thing that would have been a big shock was like if historic change was to happen, which meant like, let's say if each Republican and then PLP would have a total of 2 seats, like that would have been huge. And so to get that off. So for it to go back to OBA or stay with OBA wasn't too much of a shock.
I didn't exactly hear you, Maya. I'm sorry. I'm having a bit of difficulty on my end.
That's okay.
I heard it, but I'll say this much, Maya, to that point. I think you're right. It shouldn't have been a shock. But I do believe that there's some takeaways. There's some key takeaways. And one of those takeaways for me is that I don't think there's going to be a snappy election. But I think I could be wrong. I think if things would have been a bit closer, there may have been a snappy election on the way. I don't think there's going to be a snappy election based on those results. In my personal opinion, I could be wrong, as I usually am.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting out the news this morning, we're talking about the fact that there was potentially going to be a protest. We haven't heard much because, the weather is inclement, but the police did put out a press statement because they were aware of the voicemail that was circulating via WhatsApp promoting acts of violence at a proposed protest against increased electricity costs. While Martin Weeks, Assistant Commissioner of Police, advised saying, while the Bermuda Police Service acknowledge the right to protest, we urge that any such action be taken in a peaceful manner. Should the protest materialize, our officers will be on hand to ensure the safety of participants as well as other members of the public. That notwithstanding, anyone engaging in violence or antisocial behavior before, during, or after the event can expect to be dealt with according to the dictates of the law. And next in our news, as we also discussed Balco a bit. So here's what exactly was stated on Balco from Twitter, from the whole what the rise increase is going to be. So you see there that basically your bill is going to go up by like $52. They said, quote, your bill is not going up 48%. Only a portion is increasing by that amount. As shown in the graphic below, which was on the Twitter, for the average household, the FAR increased by $52. Let's say your bill was roughly $280 in July. With this increase, your bill will now be approximately $330.
So, a couple of things. One is use the percentage to tell the story. Second thing, Someone said it. I don't know who said it, but they were like, let's say it's just $50. Why can't the business help the consumer in that and eat half of that? Right? That's one. Second thing is, it's not just $50. This is $50 someone doesn't have to spend on groceries now. This is $50 someone doesn't have to put gas in the car or buy their children necessities. Like, there's so many things wrong with it that, as I said, it's a PR nightmare. And I think, Raj mentioned condescending tone and the way they're coming across is, I just honestly ask, stop playing the public for stupid, or they're going to restart responding stupidly.
What's the saying? You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
There you go.
Okay. Well, last night, we all know that was the end of the by-election for constituency 8. Ben Smith did win that seat. And on Media Maya, actually put up a poll asking people what they thought the results were going to be. On my indication, over 100 people voted with my platform, and 59% said for Ben and 41% said for Misha of PLP. But the real results was 73% for the OBA and 27% for PLP. Just going to look at some statistics right here. So you can see what the results were for like the general election in the past, and then the results that came out of the by-election. Now, by-elections are really different from general elections because not that many people do come out for by-elections like they do a general election. And also last night, the weather was not good. So that could have played some factors into the amount of people that actually showed up to vote. As you can kind of see at the bottom, that the registered number of voters in that constituency is like 1,311, and only 624 came out to vote in the by-election.
Yep. What was
that even half of the registered voters?
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Not even half. Yeah, it was about 46%.
Now that says something.
Oh yeah. But I mean, typically, by-elections, people don't show up. But I would like to know what the comparison is with previous by-elections as far as percentage of registered voters. But Maya, what was the result of your poll again on Media Maya?
59% voted for Ben and 41% voted for Misha. Yeah, that's what they thought the outcome was going to be. Now, I didn't get to speak to Ben after the by-election, but I did get to speak to Misha Fabler after the by-election. He came on my Media Maya Live, and so here's a quick portion of what he stated.
Appreciate it. Okay, so were these the results that you were like anticipating? Like, be honest with us, what were you expecting?
I wasn't quite sure what to expect, right? Everyone that I spoke to about it said that the by-elections typically have much poorer turnout. And so we saw, I think it was 45 or 47% of the voters turnout in 2020. I think they saw 895, so like call it 900 votes. And today we saw 600 and change. So not nearly as many people getting out to vote, but quite clearly the Smith South was keen on seeing the OBA retain their 6th seat. And so that's what we had happen.
Do you think the same old song about it being a safe seat kind of did show play today?
Possibly. It's going to take some time with the team to kind of analyze. There were several factors at play. We got the approaching storm, the inclement weather. It was raining most of the afternoon. Anecdotally, I think that affects the PLP voting base a little bit more than the OBA. But yeah, I really thought there would be more people ready for some change in Smith South. As I said on the live with the BBC and Royal Gazette folks, I think I'm going to try to get that farmers market still going because that really seemed to resonate with the people I was speaking with on the doorsteps.
And that was my next question. Even though you didn't win the seat, what do you still expect to do within C8? Do you think that that'll still be your seat to take if a general election comes up?
Well, so Jonathan Bell asked similarly, and I said, ideally, I'd like to run in my own constituency. It would be a lot easier to connect with voters more consistently in my own neighborhood.
Thank you for doing that, honestly. To edit that after being done, but thank you for speaking with me. I think I said this privately to Maya, and I have no problem saying it publicly. I think Misha was the better candidate. I really do. That's not to say I have anything against Ben Smith, but he has baggage. I think Misha could make a difference in the Bermuda political space. I don't necessarily know if it's with the Bermuda Progressive Labour Party as it is today, but props to him, and I hope that he continues to contribute. But I repeat what I said earlier. You cannot serve two organizations that clash. You can't be a part of Social Justice Bermuda and the PLP, in my opinion. I couldn't do the PLP and Bermuda Against the Draft. That's the government we're fighting to end the legislation. I'm done. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Anything on your end, Raj?
Yeah, no, I think in principle, if we lived in an ideal world, he should be able to do both. Because I mean, at its core, in its articulated constitutional terms, the PLP is meant to be a vehicle for social justice, for equity. It's right there explicitly stated in their constitution. So in purely theoretical terms, Social Justice Bermuda and the Progressive Labor Party should be aligned. And Misha should be able to do both.
However, that's not the reality based on what the party is currently doing as government.
Precisely. Yeah. And you can't deny that. And I think anybody who tries to deflect and spin that, that's immediately, speaking for myself, that's immediately a conversation I'm not going to have, right? Because again, that's manipulation. You're basically talking stupid to me at that point, and we're not doing that.
All right. Well, my next upcoming news, and we talked about it before this week, but so I'm just going to pinpoint it to a little bit. But the whole Darwood Middle School and treats as well. Well, there was a press statement that came out from the government that actually had some comments coming from the principal of Darwood and the owner of treats, and it's basically saying that parents are urged to speak to their children about behavior in public after school hours. Now, the goes on to say that the collaboration led to a temporary ban of Darwood Middle School students from the store. And although there was some initial miscommunications around the store's intentions, the principal of Darwood endorsed the ban to allow some time for the school community to reflect on the need for appropriate and acceptable behavior when out in public. Principal Korea, I believe, said, I visited the store during the ban and had a robust discussion with the owner. Although the challenges faced by store owners are not solely at Darwood Middle School issue, we wanted to focus our minds as a school community. I know that only a minority of students are behaving in a disruptive manner, and not all of them were from Darwood Middle School, but we hope to give the store owner some reprieve for a few days, and while we reflect as a school community on the consequences of antisocial behavior. The owner of the store also said it is unfortunate that members of the public and adults were gleeful about the situation and passed around a photo of a notice when the intention was to diffuse the antisocial behavior for school for Thursday and Friday. In no way did we intend to stigmatize Darwood school students. I approached a total of 7 schools, 3 public and 4 private, seeking a solution to what has become a major challenge in the hours after school. In that communication, I suggested that we may have to ban all students if the behavior continued.
Thank you much. Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. I'll just say that much with that situation.
Closing up with some health concerns, the Ministry of Health says that there's a danger of vaping in young people. They say, well, Minister Kim Wilson said that the alarming rise in vaping among young people and the associated risk is a concerning public health issue. Now, I went on CDC just to see, like, okay, so what are some of the risks when it comes to young people vaping? I'm going to read the highlighted part there at the bottom, but basically it says nicotine can harm the developing adolescent brain. The brain keeps developing until the age of 25. Using nicotine in adolescence can harm the parts of the brain that control attention, learning, mood, and impulsive control. Now, at the bottom where the question arises, what are the other risks of e-cigarettes for kids, teens, and young adults? It has some furthermore details. They're saying that scientists are still learning about the long-term effects of e-cigarettes because it is relatively still new, truthfully. And then some of the ingredients in e-cigarettes, like aerosol, could also be harmful for the lungs in the long term. For example, some e-cigarette flavors may be safe to eat, but not to inhale because the gut can process more substances than the lungs. Defective e-cigarette batteries have caused some fires and explosions, a few of which have resulted in serious injuries. And the last one here, children and adults have been poisoned by swallowing, breathing, or absorbing e-cigarette liquid through their skin or eyes. Nationally, approximately 50% of calls to poison control centers for e-cigarettes are for kids 5 years of age or younger.
Yeah, that's been in the news quite a lot over the last few years in the U.S. How's the weather looking or sports?
The weather's looking pretty bad. A couple of showers, cloudy weather, a lot of thunder, and tonight we're going to have some gale force winds as well. So definitely, if you're going to be on a bike today, I would advise not, but just be as safe as possible and slow as possible on the roads.
Alrighty. righty. Thank you so much, Maya. What you got for days of the year, Raj?
Today is National Coaches Day.
Oh.
So thank you, Mr. Hartman, for your service, because I know you. One of the coolest things when you're working at the station, who were you coaching? What program were you a part of?
Small Village Community Club.
And I'm going to tell you something that I've never told you. When you were doing that, it inspired me to work with young people.
Oh, I'm glad, Raj. Thank you.
So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Raj. I appreciate you. Maya, you gonna coach hockey one day?
Better.
Don't say I better.
You be a fire coach. What? Oh my gosh, you should.
I used to help coach whenever the young primary school students would come when I was in high school and stuff, and they are funny. They are so funny. And now I'm thinking like, well, they're probably like in middle school, high school now, like, but like they were, yeah, a funny bunch. And I do like coaching. It was a good time.
No, it's fun. I mean, I just love the knowing that you're making a difference in someone's life. And there's so many different kinds of coaches. It's not just sports. I mean, we have coaches and mentors in life. You know, do you guys have like coaches, like life coaches, or anyone like you consider a mentor and a coach?
No, I do. And you know what? I should probably fix that, because Lord knows I could use one or three.
Because Teo was one back in the day. You know.
Back in the day, yeah. But I mean, no, yeah, I've definitely had back in the day ones, yeah.
I wouldn't say coaches. I'll definitely say mentors more than like an actual life coach.
Okay.
And you can put yourself in that category with Teo, Jamel. I mean, the stuff that I learned at this on the business side and the sales side of things, like I was paying attention. You may not think I was paying attention. I was paying attention. How you can sell stuff. I was paying attention.
I'm always surprised young adults and adults pay attention to anything I say. I mean, you know, it's not that much credibility. Maya, thank you so much. Please enjoy your weekend. I'm going to repeat, enjoy your weekend, Maya.
Thank you. You guys enjoy your weekend too.
All right. My apologies, folks. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to come back. We've got some more to talk about, and we're going to go deeper. You want us to go deeper? We'll go deeper. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dandytown Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Welcome back to the big show. Roger Denbrough. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Roger, I want to go to a couple comments. One by Charles H. Jefferson II, and he says, this is a show topic that needs to happen. While those groups might be part of the problem today, they have historically been a part of the solution. What has changed? There's a book that I've been reading for like the last 5 years. It's called basically the end of Black Power in America, the destruction of the Black Power movement. And basically the summary of it is how basically Black people start giving their votes to the Democratic Party, how one group was focused on political power, the other group was focused on economic empowerment for Black people. A lot of it has to do with that. The bottom line, I don't think we have to go far to look for the answer. When you see a creflo dollar and Eddie Long living large while members of the church are struggling to survive. When you see politicians who are driving Mercedes while their constituents are struggling to make it on the bus, when you see like people in these Greek organizations using their brotherhood to put people who are not qualified in positions while others are left behind, not because of lack of skill or ability, but because they are not part of that organization, it tells me one thing: our priorities are in the toilet. So what has changed? Rajay spoke about it earlier. You know, the Honorable former Premier Alex Scott mentioned it last week. Remember that acronym he gave us? WITH, what's in it for me? Raj spoke about self-serving, right? So we have these performers, right? Raj used the term performative. We are stuck with performers. And some people in our community, that's all they know. You know, when these shootings were happening in Bermuda, you had some preachers that would be out talking about the LGBT folks, but yet that's when the times would happen when Dr. King, you want to quote him, right? Especially when the U.S. celebrates Black History Month, you want to quote him and celebrate his birthday in the second weekend of January. But you don't want to do what he did. When was the last time you seen you all get out in the streets and march and do stuff? It's easy to find the pulpit. It's easy to sit in the congregation, but those are the things. That's what's changed. When you ask me, those are the kind of things that have changed. It's become something. It doesn't have the community impact. And yes, we have a changing world. We've done the research. We've had the conversations on this show. We see that by year 2050, Christianity will almost be obliterated, like because new generations are not taken to it like they used to. Right? We know that Muslims are going to be the largest religion in the world in the next 20, 30 years, right? But even that is falling away. So the point I'm making is, through all of this, we've lost a sense of community because everyone's approaching life as what's in it for me. But take it away, Raj.
You know, Rashida made this beautiful point. That area in Bermuda of Ubuntu, which is practical action communities, the foundation of the Bantu peoples in Africa, tens of thousands, millions, right? It's the story of the friendly societies, which many of us can learn lessons from in the history of Bermuda. So I'm not going to delve into the history of the friendly societies right now. It's incredible. The fact that it's not common knowledge, we're so disconnected from ourselves, and that's a whole other point about education that I'll get to in a second. But that this idea that we have to do things together and define our experience together, it's not just some lofty ideal. It's a very practical, very real thing, right? But within this capitalistic neoliberal structures that we exist within, that the illusion of individualism, right? Of me, I've got my money, everything's great. If they're suffering over there, it's infiltrated everything that we do. So when we're talking about resistance struggle in 2023, right, against whoever and whatever, I think we also have to understand we're fighting against how the world is teaching us about ourselves, you know, in the first instance. And then Teray made this really beautiful point about, I brought it up earlier, you know, we have been conditioned out of our capacities for resistance, in my opinion. And she made this beautiful point about education. You know, our education system was literally set up so that Black people stayed at a certain social, political, and economic status. And people say, oh, that's conspiratorial. It's not. It's documented history. If you open a book and read it, right? Mm-hmm. But again, a part of that was to, you know, undermine our political sense and our political power. Mm-hmm. So that's something else that we're working against. And then another thing we're working against is the, you know, the stigma of being somebody who, quote unquote, speaks out, right? One thing that frustrates me about my people is that we tend towards sameness. If you ain't putting yourself into a box, trying to be like everybody else, whatever, you're immediately sort of dismissed. And don't be somebody who has a public opinion. You think you're smarter than everybody. You think you're this, you think you're that. Doesn't matter if you're making all the correct points, right? And you're doing it in a correct way. So stigmatizing people who speak out, and then and then I'll be quiet for a second, we still have cultures of fear and silence in this country, right? Yeah. Blackballing. And I'm going to share a story in a second as well after you can respond.
Well, no, Raj, you're hitting it. You're hitting it. And I was going to go to another comment, but let's stick her for a minute because you mentioned blackballing. And I want you to go here, but I remember it was a time when people didn't share who they supported politically because of the blackballing that took place. Well, not going to speak on people who are no longer here to defend themselves, but I remember when the political shift happened, the others started doing it. If you spoke up, they went and tried to figure out who you were and who your people were. Oh, well, why? They're speaking out against the black people. And like, this is what it happened to. Look, when we were fighting conscription, I mean, they try to guilt me for speaking out against. But hold on. You're a black political party keeping a racist law in place, right? Now, let me break it down before you talk about blackballing, Raj. People to this day, black people especially, don't understand why conscription was wrong. The most shocking thing for me was seeing black people happy to maintain it, right? So let me break it down for you, audience. When conscription was put in place, if you understand when, think about why. When people were rioting in Bermuda, right? Who were the majority of the rioters? What did they look like? Well, if you then conscript a majority of them, you take them off there and then you have them fighting their own people, right? Then that embodied group, they're not protecting Frizzle's Hill or Albert Row or they're not protecting your neighborhood. They're protecting Front Street. So when we're fighting against this to end it, and black government is fighting to maintain it because they've been infiltrated, right? You've got a guy that hates all things Britain, but carries the title colonel. Hates the UK, hates Britain, but carries the title. And it's, to me, a reflection of today, to go back to what Charles said. Hold on. This was the party that you mentioned the Constitution earlier. Independence is in their Constitution. Social justice, Bermuda, and PLP should align. The fact is that the administration has evolved, the parties evolved due to foreign administrations, and it's not what people think it is. It's not what it's supposed to be. They're more focused on what you call them, titles. Look at them on social media. Senator this here, MPJP this and that. This is what their focus is. It's not the people. The party, PLP party, has been hijacked. Rod said black excellency is elitism. It's been hijacked by wannabe black elitists, right? And now we have a situation where the vulnerable, I put a tweet up a couple nights ago, the only people who are benefiting from the current PLP government ain't the people that have traditionally voted for them. Take it away, Raj.
Yeah, and I can't argue with that. And it's a simple, you made this amazing point earlier about, and I'll talk about blackballing in a second, about having certain relationships with people and getting a position because of your relationship with that person, right? And, there's one ministry, everyone knows I'm passionate about education. I could not be more passionate about education. I may get in some hot water for this one, but what the heck, right? Free speech and freedom of thought is a constitutional right. The education portfolio has been mishandled just horrifically for the last 7 years. 7 years? No, 2007, 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even begin to describe all of the ways where this hubristic, arrogant, just mindset and conduct has tainted educational policy and practice in this country. I mean, that's a whole nother show for another day. I'm offended by it. I'm enraged by it. And to connect it to the blackballing thing. So again, parish primary schools, right? This whole thing. I don't agree with how we got her in the absolute slightest. And I just think it's a bunch of political maneuvering and it's very surface level. I'm not even sure it's going to improve educational outcomes. the level of disruption that, certain individuals have been willing to allow to take place, disrupting children's education. And my thing, everyone should know this about me. When it comes to children, I don't play. I will psych out over a child instantly. And my children don't do anything that's going to undermine my children's well-being. But so with all of this passion and my awareness and understanding of education policy, because I do have that as well, and policy implementation, I started to make noise about the parish primary school model, right? But I did it in a very evidence-based, very sensible way, right? So I have a story, and the story may get me in some hot water again, but screw it. It is what it is at this point. So I had a vendor contract with the government at a year before last. I'm not going to say which department and whatnot, but I had a contract. And so the ministers had changed. And when the new minister had started, in his, when they go in, they get their briefs or whatever, and to get a handle on their ministry, on their departments and whatnot. There was a meeting, and my name apparently was an official agenda. I was an official agenda item. And when I came up, I was referred to as a controversial figure, and the minister asked to review my contract. Now, that's immediately prejudicial treatment. Ministers have no business asking to look at contracts. They have nothing to do with contracts, nothing to do with them. They cannot terminate contracts. It's not nothing. So, first of all, I wasn't out in public setting nothing on fire. I wasn't running around naked. I wasn't doing anything that can remotely be considered controversial. Right? If me speaking up sensibly, I'm going to say this as clear as I can. If me speaking up sensibly and fairly in the name of my children's well-being and education, and every child in this country's education and well-being, if that makes me a controversial figure, Bermuda, we are in a really scary place. Because what made me controversial was the fact that I had the nerve to say something and to say it publicly.
And stand up for the people you love.
And this is it. I'm standing up for my people, right? You can't, and again, I'm like you, Jamel. If I'm out of step, I'm pretty sure everybody can tell this about me. Tell me, thank you, Mr. James. Tell me I'm out of step. Tell me I'm wrong. And trust me, I will pivot.
There was a time when if Black people spoke up, they were blackballed by the racist party. Times have changed, but have they? I want to go to this comment. Mark Arthur Phillips, thank you for the $5 donation. Mark, we appreciate it. Folks, you too can give a donation if you'd like on YouTube. At this point, do you need legal assistance for a protest to be effective? This is actually interesting because governments have taxpayers' money to fight against people, whereas people don't have necessarily the funds to fight for themselves, which is why it needs to be a collective effort. It has to be a collective effort. The more people, the easier it is to fight and achieve the desired goals. Susan Ingham says, I guess I'm controversial too. You're not alone. Raj, that's what we dealt with. Teo dealt with it for years. When I was fighting with Bermuda against the draft, it was normal. He's this, is that. Even today doing this show, which is why I'm happy you're a part of it and saying what you're saying. Because, look, I don't think any of us wake up and say, you know what, let's piss someone off today or be controversial. Let me be very direct because I don't want people to take things out of context. The people behind this show are in the church. They're part of Greek organizations, right? Got a politician here.
They are PLP members, at least one.
There you go.
For myself.
Yeah. So my point is, I don't want people to think that this is an attack on all church people or all Greek people or all politicians, PLP, OBA, whatever. There are people within these organizations who are trying to make a difference and keep community top of mind. But the people out front that are up top, and I'll call names, whether you like or not, a lot of people, just think about what Carla Zul said regarding Dr. Seaman one time during the election. Oh, well, I think church people will vote for her. All church people don't agree or support Dr. Seaman. Think of the Greek stuff, right? People, some associate Wayne Keynes and David Byrd and Diallo with that. But that's not representative of all of them. You know, so, and I'm not going to be defensive, but some of the people dear to me and I love, they're very religious there in the church. So it's not an attack on individuals. I want people to understand that. But for us to get a grip and to collectively march for the desired results, to be effective in protesting, every brother and sister, regardless of who they support politically, regardless of whether you're Greek or not, we're not helping someone just because they're part of my Greek organization. Whether they go church on a Saturday and to the mosque on a Friday night or whatever. The only way to be truly effective is if we understand together what the desired result is and have a plan on how we're going to get there. Right now, they see it as noise. You know that those famous words, Raj, this too shall pass. This too shall pass, Raj. That's how politicians think. That's how they think. You know, we talk about businesses and how businesses charge this, that, and the other. Most businesses are responding to government legislation and policies. Think about minimum wage. I've said for years I don't support it because it's half-assed. If a government institutes a minimum wage and says $15 an hour without price controls, and again, I am not advocating price control. I'm simply saying it doesn't work without price controls, right? Because I've said it on this show over and over and over. You tell someone they have to pay somebody more, the customer's going to make up for that. So the price of that. We're going to do a giveaway. What was the change? What did Maya mention? It was $50 increase with Belco?
Yes.
We're going to give away $50 to someone today towards their Belco bill. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do that. So don't go anywhere. But Raj, I know you had something else to say.
Yeah, no, my goodness. I mean, I really think we all just need to sit back and just ask ourselves the very basic questions. What is the purpose of a government? What is the purpose of having a system of living in a democratic, a representative democracy? What are these people meant to be doing in the House? What are the ministers are meant to be doing? And it's a very basic answer and basic response is they're there to serve you. And if you do not feel like you are being served, and again, I'm a parent, right? My children aren't going to like everything that I do. And I'm not saying, I don't want people to think in those paternalistic terms in terms of politics, right? But my children aren't going to like everything that I do. Sometimes I'm going to have to do certain things in their best interest. They're not going to like, you can't eat that, but daddy, I want to eat ice cream for dinner, which was actually an argument we had the other night. And they actually tried to, it was a really cute thing. But I was like, no, you can't have ice cream for dinner. That's not nutritious. You're going to wake up at 3 a.m. You're going to be hungry. Like it's not going to work, right? But that's not always the case, right? If you do not feel like you are being served, so I'm going around in circles. If you do not feel like people are there representing you in service to you and the quality of your life and advancing policies, advancing government structures that immediately serve you as the person that as the electorate, as the people that they're representing, you don't dismiss that feeling. That's a very real thing. That means the system's not working. And then your role is to get the system back on track. Whether or not people up top, of course, they're not going to like it because it disrupts their game, right? But you have every right to make noise. You have to listen to that little intuitive voice inside of you that says this isn't right.
Yeah. Raj, let's take a quick break, folks. We're going to get someone $50 towards their Belco bill after this break. So don't go anywhere. We've got the Daily Play, and we'll wrap it up. But if you've appreciated today's discussion, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these conversations with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Send it via WhatsApp, but stick with us. Someone's going to get $50. I know it's not a lot, but hopefully it covers the difference in what you would have to pay on your upcoming bill. Stick with us.
Ordering from ER Fisheries has just gotten simpler. With just a few clicks of a button, you can place an order for next-day delivery or same-day pickup. Our ever-expanding list of offerings now include grocery pantry items, specialty meats, and bread and dairy items. We know things have been hard, and we're here to make planning for your next meal or party easy. Whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater, we have what you're looking for. And best of all, it can be delivered to your door in 24 hours or less. Go to www.erfisheries.bm and check out our wide range of seafood, beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and plant-based products, all available at reasonable prices. That's www.erfisheries.bm.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a daily basis. We're going to do a giveaway again. We're going to give $50 towards somebody's bill in a second. But again, if you appreciated today's conversation discussion, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Send it via WhatsApp. These conversations need to be heard. We need to be engaged in them. But it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Roger, are you ready?
Ready as I'm going to be.
All right, it's some things you should know. Here we go. How long does it take the Earth to rotate half a turn around its axis?
12 hours?
See, big brain, I told you. Big brain,
Okay, cool.
Big brain strikes again.
Lord have mercy. All right. Okay. Maybe I'm underestimating myself.
I wouldn't have known that, man.
It's 24 hours.
Yeah.
Around the sun is a year, 24 hours, and you get the seasons.
Yeah, it makes sense, folks. 12 hours, half a day to get around. We're going to do a giveaway. So hashtag the Daily Hour. Hashtag the Daily Hour. Someone will get $50 transferred to their account. Just hashtag the Daily Hour. So that's a hashtag, like the number sign, and then THEDAILYHOUR. So just like Rosalind Famous has done right here. Hashtag the Daily Hour for your chance to win $50 toward your Belco bill. Well, I hope it's towards your Belco bill. But again, it affects so many different things. So it may go somewhere else. But Roger, let's wrap it up. Final thoughts on today's discussion. It's a hot one.
Yeah, and I feel like we've only scratched the surface. You know, in 2023, our relationship with our institutions has completely changed, especially our Black institutions, the unions, the Progressive Labor Party. You know, we've had political power since 1998, 8. Oh my goodness, I'm being ridiculous. 1998. And I think now we're really sitting down and going, what does that mean for us? And it's a moment of reflection, and it's a moment of redefinition for us as the electorate. And the other thing I'd like to say very, very quickly was I heard a conversation or presentation rather, and a Progressive Labor Party minister made this comment, and it stuck with me. You know, this individual said they were asked how, you know, what do you think about the electorate's lack of support for the government at the moment? This was when the poll had gone out during the leadership contest, and it was David and the Premier and MP Dickinson. And his response, and it made my hair stand on end, they can show us how they feel at the next election.
And see, the arrogance in that comment, right, is telling us that all you care about is winning the election.
But also, you don't care about how you engage with people now.
And the only time you find engagement with them important is when you need them to win an election. But people, you need to take note of this stuff. You need to remember this stuff. Because as I said to someone last night, people don't just, people who are not politically aligned with a party, they vote based on what's happened in their lives between now and the last election. and we have to be a bit wiser. Folks, don't forget, hashtag the Daily Hour. Here's my final thoughts on today's conversation, Raj. We need more conversations like this that lead to action. I did see someone wrote earlier that today's protest was postponed until Monday. That march on Front Street, which I refer to as the March to Nowhere, what happened after? Where did it go to? What came from it? We said last week or week before, Raj, that all these groups, the taxi association, fishermen's and all that, the government has a strange way of acting. And what they do is they'll say, oh, let's give one group something to keep them quiet. And they split you up. Here's what I'm going to say to the people of Bermuda. Having fought for a cause right to the Privy Council in London, do not let them split you and break you. If you believe in your cause, you've got to be prepared to go all the way. And that means sacrifice. You have to understand it's going to take sacrifice. I'm going to tell you, no one can save us but ourselves. And if you're looking for hope or encouragement, motivation, inspiration, our ancestors did it for us. The children and generations after need you to do it for them. Let's do this giveaway, Raj. Let's see who the lucky winner's going to be. All right. Big money. Who's it going to be? We're going to give $50 to someone towards their Belco bill. Let's hit draw. Sheldon Fox.
Ooh, go ahead, Sheldon.
You. Congratulations.
Fire.
And yeah, I hope that that $50 makes a difference for Sheldon, and that it's not much, but if that's what the current chief executive, president, or whatever title, because they love titles, Wayne Keynes at Belco's company says that it is, then that's our contribution to help someone. Raj, do you have some daily inspiration for us before we head out for the weekend?
I do, and it's a classic. I picked up, again, I always share a book, right? Dr. Mariel Wade Smith, Let Justice Flow. It's a story, and it's called Let Justice Flow, a Black woman's struggle for equality in Bermuda. She was a PhD trained education administration, just like Dr. Eva Hodgson never had a position in this country that was commensurate with her qualifications because she was a Black woman. But that's another story for another day, right? So I picked this up yesterday, and I forgot she had written this in the book for me, and it's a classic. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Indeed, he said it. He sure did. Raj, been a pleasure. Another week down. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we continue to do our part to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for making this part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Monday. Please, please, please have a safe and great weekend. Roger Danbrook, Jamal Hartman. We are out. Peace.